I never thought I'd be the one to tear my family apart, but here I am, sitting in my cramped apartment, staring at a USB drive that could ruin everything. It's 2 a.m. and I can't sleep, not with what I found today. My hands are shaking as I type this, because I know once I put this out there, there's no going back. I'm not even sure I want to, but I can't keep pretending everything's fine. My stepfather, Greg, has been playing a long game, and I'm the one he's been trying to checkmate. It started 3 years ago when my mom married Greg. I was happy for her, honestly. She'd been alone since Dad died when I was 15, and seeing her smile again felt like a gift. Greg was charming, a contractor with a big laugh and a knack for making everyone feel special. He had 2 kids from his first marriage, Lila, 19, and Ethan, 22, both living with their mom across the state. I didn't think much of it when they started coming around more, staying weekends, joining family dinners. I figured it was normal, blending families and all that. But I should have seen the signs. The way Greg would casually mention how his kids needed extra support, how their mom wasn't reliable. How he'd slip in little digs about me, always with a smile, like it was a joke. Still chasing that art career, huh, Sarah? Takes guts to keep at it with no steady paycheck. I'm a graphic designer freelancing mostly, and yeah, it's tough. I've had some big clients, but it's inconsistent. Greg knew that. He'd always ask about my gigs, my savings, my plans, like he cared. I thought he was just being a dad, filling the void left by mine. But it wasn't that. It was control. I found out today he's been sabotaging me for years, and it's tied to something even worse, my mom's will. Last month, Mom started acting strange. She'd always been sharp, running her own bakery, managing everything with this fierce independence. But she was forgetting things, mixing up orders, snapping at me over nothing. I thought it was stress or maybe early menopause. Then I overheard her and Greg arguing in the kitchen one night when I was over for dinner. She said something about changing it back, and he got quiet, too quiet, before saying, "You know it's for the best, Karen. For the kids." I didn't think much of it then, just figured it was about the bakery or their finances. But it stuck with me, like a splinter I couldn't dig out. 2 weeks ago, Mom had a health scare. A mild stroke, the doctors said. She's recovering, but it shook me. I started spending more time at her house, helping with bills, cleaning, anything to feel useful. That's when I noticed Greg was different, hovering, watching me like I was a problem. He'd make these comments about how I shouldn't burden Mom with my career struggles, how I should focus on stability. It stung, but I brushed it off. I didn't want to fight, not with Mom so fragile. Then yesterday, everything unraveled. Mom asked me to grab some paperwork from her office for her taxes. I was digging through her desk when I found a folder labeled Estate. I shouldn't have opened it, but I did. Inside was her will, dated 3 months ago. I skimmed it, heart pounding, and saw that she'd left almost everything. The house, the bakery, her savings, to Greg's kids, Lila and Ethan. I got a small lump sum, barely enough to cover a year's rent. My brother Tom, who's 25 and lives in Chicago, got even less. I sat there, frozen, trying to make sense of it. Mom had always said the bakery would be mine someday, that she trusted me to carry it on. Why would she do this? I kept digging, desperate for answers, and found an older will from before she married Greg. In that one, the estate was split evenly between me and Tom. My stomach churned. Greg had to be behind this. But why? What did he gain by cutting us out? I started looking through her computer, feeling like a thief but unable to stop. That's when I found the USB drive, tucked in a drawer, labeled G's files. I plugged it in, and my world turned upside down. There were emails, dozens of them, between Greg and a guy named Mark, someone I'd never heard of. They went back 2 years, starting right after Mom and Greg got engaged. Mark was a client of mine, or so I thought. I'd done a logo for his startup, but the project fell through when he ghosted me. I lost weeks of work and a big paycheck. The emails showed Greg had contacted Mark, telling him I was unreliable and to look elsewhere. There were more like that. Messages to other clients, even one to my biggest repeat customer, a local ad agency, saying I'd been struggling with deadlines and wasn't worth the risk. That agency stopped calling me last year. I thought it was my fault, that I wasn't good enough. But it was Greg. He'd been tanking my career, making sure I stayed broke, dependent, out of the way. The worst was an email to his ex-wife, dated 6 months ago. He wrote, "Karen's on board with the new will. Lila and Ethan will be set, don't worry. Sarah's too caught up in her art to notice, and Tom's out of state. It's handled. Handled. Like we were obstacles to be cleared." I felt sick, betrayed, like the ground was gone beneath me. Greg wasn't just some charming stepdad. He was a snake, manipulating Mom, using her love for him to secure his kid's future while screwing over hers. I didn't sleep last night. I kept replaying every moment with Greg, every helpful comment, every time he pushed me to think about a real job. It wasn't concern, it was sabotage. He wanted me weak, scraping by so I wouldn't question anything. And Mom, did she know? Did she agree to this? Or was he manipulating her too? Her stroke, her confusion, could he be using that to his advantage? I don't want to believe she'd choose his kids over us, but the will is real. It's her signature. Today I went back to the house, acting normal, but I was watching Greg. He was too sweet, too attentive, making Mom tea, joking with Lila on the phone. I wanted to scream, to throw the USB in his face, but I didn't. I needed to talk to Tom first. I called him this afternoon, told him everything. He was quiet for a long time, then said, "Sarah, if we confront him, Mom might take his side. She loves him. We could lose her." He's right. Mom's always defended Greg, even when he's wrong. If I show her the emails, she might think I'm attacking him, that I'm the problem. But if I do nothing, Greg wins. His kids get everything, and I'm left with nothing but a failing career and a family that feels like it's slipping away. I'm sitting here now, the USB burning a hole in my pocket. I could go to Mom, show her the truth, risk her hating me. I could confront Greg alone, see if he cracks, but he's slick, he'll twist it, make me look paranoid. Or I could play his game, gather more proof, bide my time. But how long do I wait? Mom's not getting better, and every day feels like he's tightening his grip. I love her so much, but the thought of losing her to him, of her thinking I'm the bad guy, rips me apart. I keep thinking about Dad, how he'd fight for us, how he'd never let this happen. But he's gone, and it's just me now. What do? Do I risk everything to expose Greg, knowing it might break Mom's heart? Or do I stay quiet, let him win, and keep what's left of my family? I'm scared, Reddit. I've never felt so alone, and I don't know if I'm strong enough to do this. But I can't shake the feeling that if I don't act soon, it'll be too late. I hit post on the Reddit thread, my heart hammering so loud I could barely hear my own thoughts. The USB drive sat on my desk, taunting me. I'd copied the files to my laptop, just in case, but I couldn't stop staring at it like it was a ticking bomb. I didn't sleep that night, just kept refreshing the page, watching comments trickle in. Some said to lawyer up, others said to talk to Mom gently, but one stuck with me. If he's this calculated, he's probably got more hidden. Dig deeper before you confront him. It felt right, but it also terrified me. What else could Greg be hiding? The next morning, I drove to Mom's house, my stomach in knots. She was in the living room, watching some old sitcom, looking smaller than I remembered. Greg was at work, thank God, so I had time. I made her coffee, sat with her, tried to act normal. "You feeling okay, Mom?" I asked, keeping my voice light. She smiled, but it was weak. "Just tired, Sarah. Getting old's no fun." I wanted to ask about the will, about Greg, but her eyes were so soft, so trusting, I couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I said I needed to check something on her computer for the bakery's taxes. She waved me off, already drifting back to her show. In her office, I went straight for Greg's email, praying he hadn't changed the password. He hadn't. Sloppy or maybe just arrogant. I searched for anything new, anything I'd missed. That's when I found a thread of emails between Greg and a lawyer, not Mom's usual guy, but someone in Dayton. They were discussing a trust fund for Lila and Ethan, funded by the bakery's profits. The dates lined up with when Mom started getting forgetful at work. One email from Greg said, "Karen's on board, but let's keep it quiet until it's finalized. Her kids don't need to know." Her kids. That's what we were to him, just obstacles. I felt like I'd been punched. The bakery wasn't just Mom's business. It was her heart, her legacy. Dad helped her start it, and I'd spent my teens decorating cakes beside her, dreaming of taking it over. Now Greg was funneling it to his kids, and Mom was signing off on it. I printed the emails, my hands trembling, and tucked them into my bag. I needed more than a USB now. I needed a plan. I called Tom again that night, reading him the new emails. He was pissed, but still hesitant. "Sarah, if we push too hard, Mom might shut us out. You know how she gets when she feels cornered." He wasn't wrong. Mom hated conflict, always had. When Dad died, she'd shut down for months, leaving me to hold things together. If I came at her with this, she might cling to Greg even tighter. But doing nothing wasn't an option anymore. I told Tom I was going to confront Greg alone, see if I could get him to slip up. Tom begged me to wait, to talk to a lawyer first, but I was done waiting. I needed to look Greg in the eye and see who he really was. The next day, I waited until Mom was at physical therapy. Greg was in the garage, tinkering with his truck. I walked in, the printed emails in my pocket, my heart pounding so hard I thought I'd pass out. "Greg, we need to talk," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. He looked up, wiping his hands on a rag, that fake smile spreading across his face. "Sure thing, Sarah. What's up?" I didn't ease into it. "I know about the will. I know you convinced Mom to change it. And I know you've been tanking my career to keep me out of the way." His smile didn't drop, but his eyes did, cold, calculating, like he was sizing me up. "That's a hell of an accusation," he said, leaning back against the truck. "You got proof? Or is this just you being dramatic again?" I pulled out the emails, holding them up but not handing them over. "These are from you to my clients, telling them I'm unreliable. And to your ex about the will. You want to explain." For a second, I thought he'd lunge for them, but he just laughed, low and mean. "You're smarter than I gave you credit for," he said. "But you're out of your depth. Your mom's happy, Sarah. She trusts me. You really think she'll believe you over me?" That's when I knew I'd made a mistake. He wasn't going to confess. He was too good at this. "You're stealing from her," I said, my voice shaking now. "The bakery, the trust fund, you're using her." He stepped closer, towering over me, and I felt small, like a kid again. "You're the one hurting her," he said. "Digging through her things, stirring up trouble. You keep this up, you'll break her heart. Is that what you want?" I wanted to scream, to hit him, but I just stood there, frozen. He was right about one thing: Mom would believe him. She always did. I backed away, clutching the emails, and left without another word. I drove home, crying so hard I could barely see the road. I thought confronting him would feel powerful, but it just made me feel smaller. He'd played me, turned it around like I was the villain. When I got home, there was a voicemail from Mom. Her voice was shaky, confused. "Sarah, Greg says you're upset about something. Why didn't you talk to me? Call me, please." I couldn't call her back, not yet. I knew Greg had gotten to her first, spun his story. I could picture him, all concern and lies, telling her I was jealous, unstable. And she'd believe him, because she loved him, because he'd made sure she did. I sat on my couch, staring at the USB again, the emails spread out on the table. I thought I could fix this, but now I wasn't sure. If I showed Mom the proof, she might hate me for it. If I didn't, Greg would keep pulling the strings, taking everything Dad and Mom built, everything that was supposed to be mine and Tom's. I thought about Dad, how he'd always tell me to stand up for what's right, no matter how hard. But he never warned me it could cost me my family. I opened my laptop and started typing an email to a lawyer a friend recommended. I attached the files, the emails, everything. I don't know if it's the right move, but I can't let Greg win. Not like this. I hit send and my phone buzzed, another call from Mom. I let it go to voicemail, my chest aching. I love her so much, but I don't know if she'll ever forgive me for this. All I know is I can't stop now. Greg's been playing his game for years, but I'm done being his pawn. Whatever happens next, I'm ready to fight, even if it means losing her. The lawyer's office was cold, the kind of sterile chill that makes you feel like you're in trouble just for being there. I sat across from her, a woman named Diane with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense voice, laying out everything. The will, the emails, Greg's sabotage. She listened, flipping through the printed emails, her pen tapping the desk. "This is serious," she said finally. "But it's tricky. Your Mom's of sound mind, legally speaking, unless you can prove coercion or undue influence. The stroke complicates things, but it's not enough on its own. The emails about your career? That's not illegal, just manipulative. We'd need more to build a case." More. That word haunted me. I'd spent the last week digging through every corner of Mom's life I could access without raising suspicion. I'd found nothing new, just more of Greg's shadow. Receipts for dinners with his kids, bank transfers to their accounts, all small enough to slip under Mom's radar. Diane suggested hiring a private investigator, but I couldn't afford it, not with my bank account barely scraping by. Greg had made sure of that. I hadn't talked to Mom since the voicemail. She'd called 3 more times, each message more desperate. "Sarah, please just tell me what's going on. Greg says you're mad at him, but he doesn't know why. Let's fix this." I wanted to call her to tell her everything, but I was terrified she'd take his side. Or worse, that she knew about the will and agreed with it. That thought hurt more than anything, the idea that Mom might have chosen Greg's kids over me and Tom. Tom came to town that weekend, his first visit in months. We met at a diner, away from Mom's house, away from Greg. He looked exhausted, his eyes shadowed like he hadn't slept either. I talked to Mom, he said, stirring his coffee. She's confused, Sarah. She kept saying Greg's just trying to balance things for everyone. I asked about the will, and she got defensive, said it's her choice and we shouldn't worry. He leaned forward, voice low. I think he's got her so twisted up she doesn't see it. We sat there, picking at our food, trying to figure out our next move. Tom wanted to talk to Mom together, lay it all out, but I wasn't ready. She'll shut down, I said. Or Greg will spin it. We need something undeniable. Tom nodded, but I could see he was losing hope. He'd always been the peacemaker, the one who avoided fights. This was killing him as much as it was me. That night, I went back to Mom's house. Greg was out, thank God, and Mom was asleep. I crept into her office again, feeling like a criminal in my own childhood home. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I couldn't stop. I opened her filing cabinet, rifling through folders, and found a bank statement I hadn't seen before. It showed a withdrawal of $50,000, dated a month after Mom's stroke. The memo line said, "Trust setup." My heart sank. That was Mom's savings, her safety net. I cross-checked it with the emails from Greg to the lawyer. The dates matched. He wasn't just changing the will, he was draining her accounts. I took photos of the statement, my hands shaking so bad I could barely hold the phone. This was it, the proof I needed. But it also meant confronting Mom wasn't just about the will anymore, it was about her entire future. If Greg was siphoning her money, what would she have left? I sat on the floor, staring at the papers, and cried. I wasn't just fighting for me and Tom anymore. I was fighting for her. The next morning, I called Diane and sent her the new evidence. She said it was enough to start building a case, maybe even push for a forensic accountant to trace the money. But she warned me again, if you go forward, it's going to get ugly. Your mom might not thank you for this. I knew she was right, but I couldn't let Greg keep doing this. I couldn't let him erase everything Mom and Dad built. I decided to talk to Mom that afternoon, before Greg could get to her again. I drove to the house, my stomach churning, the bank statement and emails in a folder under my arm. She was in the kitchen, baking, the smell of cinnamon filling the air. It hit me like a wave. Memories of us making cookies together, laughing before Greg, before everything fell apart. She looked up, surprised. Sarah, you didn't call. I know, I said, my voice catching. Mom, we need to talk. About Greg. About the will. About everything. Her face changed, like a door slamming shut. Sarah, I don't want to hear this. Greg's been nothing but good to us. I took a deep breath, pulling out the folder. Please, just look at this. I'm not trying to hurt you. I love you. But he's not who you think he is. She stared at the folder, then at me, her eyes wet. You're my daughter, she said, her voice breaking. Why are you doing this? I pushed the folder toward her, my heart breaking too. Because I'm your daughter. And I can't let him take everything from you. She didn't open it. She just stood there, tears spilling down her cheeks, and I knew in that moment I might have already lost her. Greg walked in then, his keys jangling, his smile fading when he saw me. What's going on? He asked, his voice too calm. I looked at Mom, willing her to open the folder to see the truth. But she just shook her head and walked out of the room, leaving me alone with him. Greg stepped closer, his eyes hard. You're making a mistake, Sarah, he said. You think you're saving her, but you're just breaking her heart. I wanted to scream, to tell him he was the one breaking her, but the words wouldn't come. I grabbed the folder and left, my chest tight, my vision blurred with tears. I'd thought showing her the truth would fix everything, but it hadn't. It had only made things worse. Now I'm back in my apartment, the folder on my table, my phone silent. Mom hasn't called. Tom texted asking what happened, but I can't face him yet. I keep thinking about what Greg said, about breaking her heart. Maybe he's right. Maybe I'm the one hurting her. But I can't stop now. I've got the lawyer, the evidence, the truth. I just don't know if it's enough to save my family, or if I've already lost them for good.